drill. Question remains, do we keep saying please and thank you when we're talking to AI? We'll see. Up next on the Wecker stage, ladies and gentlemen, best practices for accelerating your AI journey with secure and powerful agents. I'd like to welcome on stage President of ARIA, Kevin Kiley.
Pleasure to be here with you today from the United States. I'm very excited to talk about a problem that I think many of your organizations are beginning to experience. As we see organizations embrace AI and the capacity and potential for it, you will see more and more sprawl, and with that, challenges for managing it. On the screen behind me, I wanted to illustrate this by talking through a sample example journey. Most of your organizations may have started by building a simple chatbot. That was the first foray into it. The success of that internally maybe gave you the confidence to go deploy it externally. You moved to some sort of web chat with your customers or your employees that was available externally. From there, you probably tried some other products. If you're a Microsoft shop, you got Copilot, you've done a little trial and experimentation with that. There it expands out with a more customized approach. Maybe you're bringing in an agency, maybe one of your firms is helping companies do this. There, we continue to see it grow. That success begets other success. We embed the AI usage across other products and tech. Your vendors are now bringing in other AI solutions. We just heard about a couple there. And more chatbots are proliferating. From there, we expand into initial orchestration, where you're having some of these different agents, different AI capabilities talk to each other. And you see that this picture is starting to get a little more complicated as we expand out and move into other areas. I've seen a lot of nodding heads and photos we've taken, so I think this is not uncommon. You may then start seeing these point solutions, and the gentleman from Palo Alto talked about this. Proliferation of all these different products that are coming in. Your employees, your business users, they want these chatbots, they want these different agents, they want these different capabilities. And you've got more and more happening across the organization. This itself brings in more ideas, and now you start seeing other chatbots, other capabilities being deployed across the business. And you're now embedding these into the way that your users are working. This is where you'll start to really need some level of orchestration, today's topic. And where I hope to get to by the end of this is a picture where you see the ability to orchestrate all of this together, to manage it, to make it sustainable across the organization. Now look, this is at a time where things are evolving very quickly. We've all seen just how fast some of these models are moving. What was best last month is being eclipsed by something new this month. And this trend is just going to continue to accelerate. The technology is getting faster and faster and more capable for your organizations. As this happens, it opens up an immense potential and so much capacity for you to do new things and really move the needle in your business, but only if you can embrace them. Getting to the latest and greatest will become a strategic imperative for the company that you have to do as almost an existential threat. It's not enough to use yesterday's technology. When things are moving this quickly, you've got to have a way to dynamically move to the latest and greatest, that model that's the best for you. And if it wasn't enough to drive that, your vendors are going to push you off of their old model. You've got to stay fluid, you've got to be dynamic and able to move to that latest and greatest, because they're going to probably deprecate the model. You see this happening already. It's happened in months, sometimes in weeks. The new model is released and then you're pushed off of it to go to the latest. Beyond that, there are financial differences. If I had started last year with OpenAI's GPT-01 preview, I was paying $60 per million output tokens. Fast forward to the subsequent releases, all the way down to GPT 4.1 Nano, which has very similar performance characteristics, and it's 40 cents per million output tokens. Now, if you had built that application or that process, and you were really locked in using that earlier model, you were way overpaying for the capabilities that you could have been using. So again, important financial reasons why you'll need to be able to move quickly between these models. On top of that, we're now seeing the dependence on these models becoming a risk for the business. Last week, if you noticed, ChatGPT OpenAI was down for about 10 hours, right in the middle of the Western working day. This was a massive outage for those companies that had deep solutions built on their products because they just weren't performing, they were offline. Many companies will see this across this year and continue to struggle with this. This is a business continuity or disaster recovery message. Again, you'll have to be able to move between models. You have to be able to move very quickly. On top of that, there are all the security concerns. I won't belabor these because we talked about them in 2 sessions ago, but new risks of adversarial attacks. organizations trying to deliberately manipulate models, take advantage of them, or even exfiltrate the model itself. That model that you've trained up with your data is now a risk to the business if something were to break into it. We also see threats from data poisoning and prompt injection attacks and a whole host of new sophisticated attack vectors coming at your AI across the organization. So again, the need to have some way of measuring and managing what's being done and the security across your AI platform. As agents open up new possibility, there'll be a lot of new threats here, and we've already seen this. Agents can be overly permissed. They've been given access to all of your data, and now someone can go manipulate that agent to take advantage of it. We also see a lot of problems or errors because of natural language. Using an agent is not like using an API where it's very deterministic. I'm going to work with it a certain way. An agent may interpret what's been said differently and act on it differently, and that is subject to manipulation. So a lot of developmental risks around the way that agents are going to perform. How do we counter that? There's this whole host of new challenges, this avalanche, this flood of them coming. There are tools out there. There are a number of open source tools, but many of these have their own problems. If you've experimented with some of these, you've seen that they have challenges and security risks because, again, they are open source. You have a whole host of risks, and many of these have been, again, acknowledged in the press just over the last few weeks where we've seen some major exploits of some of the more common open source tools. The vendors are releasing new capabilities. We saw Anthropic come out with MCP, and we talked about that a few times today already. MCP gives us a lot of capability to manage the interaction of these tool calls, provide a little more control, a lot of benefits that it offers to your organization if you can employ it. But it also carries some risks that it's not quite ready with. We see that there are still risks of tool poisoning and drug pull attacks where I'm changing the level of authority or authentication for that tool call that a bad actor might be able to take advantage of. A whole list of challenges around data leakage and unauthorized tool execution. We also see dependency risks. If something breaks in there, that tool call could snarl the whole process and bring the agent down. And then, of course, the communication itself, not having some of the standards of security and protocols that we would typically employ for handling very sensitive information as these agents work between each other. So know that there are real risks with MCP. As much as it moves things forward, you'll still want some level of management around the way that MCP and the tool calls work. Beyond that, the A2A protocol that came out just about 6 weeks ago, again, a great advancement in the way that these agents will be able to collaborate and communicate with one another, but there are still risks with it. If you've played with A2A or you started building with it, you've seen that it is effectively a JSON blob. It can contain a lot of sensitive information. Information, again, that a bad actor might try to use against you, knowing what that agent's capable of, what it's looking for, what connections it's authorized to make. All of that information can be contained there, and again, without some level of management or security around it, you now introduce perhaps another risk vector for your organization trying to secure this. If this doesn't start to make your head hurt, when you think about all of the risks and challenges around this explosion of AI that's coming to your organization, we're in the early days of this. Imagine where we'll be 6 months from now, a year from now. Let me illustrate the point by going into another example. If you started with that chatbot, where it was simple enough, I was using one service, in this case OpenAI, and again it was an input-output sort of thing. Typically that grows. We expand from there to multiple use cases across the organization. So great, again I've got one provider, easy enough to manage that. But as we start to splinter into using different products and different versions of their products, each of these now has its own update schedule. It's got maintenance that needs to be performed. Some of them are being deprecated, some of them are more expensive. I've got to manage all of that complexity, and this is just with one provider. If I now start to look at using multiple LLM providers, different tools, different services, each of them have their own challenges around upgrades, maintenance, overhead that I'll need to support for carrying that. You can see this picture is becoming much more complex. If I then start lowering in additional data sources, information from our organization that I want these agents to use, that I want these models to be able to process, again, we've added another layer of complexity. That is further complicated by adding in those core applications that our business relies on. Now I've got integration calls, tool calls, MCP that I have to manage. All of this is then added into what we do with the user. What do I need to know about that customer, that employee that's interacting with it, maintains some of that history? That's, of course, assuming all this is just on the input side. If we now want to write that back and have two-way integrations, we've multiplied the level of complexity that's happening here across this. You can start to see how difficult this is going to be to manage. If we then want to add in fine-tuning and do some custom prompting that is unique to our organization, I've got a whole host of things here that are moving, that can be broken, that have to be maintained, and you start to see how quickly untenable this becomes for your organization. Again, we are in the beginning of this, but you will need some level of management, and that is exactly what our orchestration platform provides to you. It's a way to bring all this together, to know that you've got some management, a single control plane of all of your maintenance, upgrading, building, security issues, all in one tool set. Agent orchestration allows you to bring this together in a way that is seamless. I can see all of the agents happening across the organization. I can see what they're accessing, what information is being passed between them. I can maintain these things. I can make the updates, swapping between models, giving you, again, one way to sustain all of that AI across the different units within your business, the different users who are trying to access it, as well as visibility into its performance, insights into security concerns, and the challenges that the organization may be facing. This platform allows you to quickly build across, make it very easy to use it in a no-code or low-code way, all the way up to your pro code. So I can go in and build agents, very specific capabilities. I get insight into how they're performing. I can verify the security, the information that's been passed. Full DLP controls to monitor what information is going in, block sensitive information that maybe we wouldn't want that employee to share. They may have been trying to do the right thing, but still creating a risk with it. We can protect all that. And again, all this done with an open integration architecture that allows you to talk to any of your core systems, applications across the business. A lot of emphasis here on security because, again, we are in the early days. You're going to see more and more threats piling up and the need to be able to manage that all the way from development and building through to runtime, the different challenges you'll have to support across that. This includes the ability to intercept prompt injection attacks, to do red teaming testing across the business, and look for those weaknesses, those vulnerabilities before the bad guys find them, and also to monitor shadow AI, to users that might be going out and trying to do things with AI that could create risk. I talked about MCP, and again, the way that we can approach this is also unique, allowing you to create ephemeral environments to set up those MCP connections and then blow them away once they've been loaded. So we don't maintain any credentials, we don't maintain any of the data, zero retention in a way that protects your systems and the information and also keeps you compliant with any regulations. We do all this also for A2A, giving you a way to manage those integrations, maintain an inventory of them, and also be able to terminate them at any point when you see an issue or a problem, if you detect something across one of our systems. All this on top of the intelligent routing, that ability that I mentioned, to be able to move quickly between different providers. Knowing that a new model comes out, you're going to want to be able to swap to it. You may even want to be able to route within specific agents so that if we know a user's query is better served by a low-cost model versus a high-cost, high-sophistication one, to be able to do that on the fly, very, very important. And of course, all this also within the security fabric. You know that there's risk for it, is that we can route it. Included in our product, we also offer a full library of agents. We'll find over 700 agents in the product that allow you to quickly tackle a number of use cases across the business. Again, consider these to be sort of a recipe book of pre-made agents that your organization can deploy right off the bat to solve problems across your business. Lastly, our product can be hosted in any number of ways. We offer it as a cloud service. You can host it on-prem or in your own cloud, or as a hybrid model, understanding that we have hosting capabilities across the globe, or if you want to use your own data center, we're prepared to support it that way. A lot of flexibility. I'll wrap up by saying our company is here. We're exhibiting. Today we are one of the fastest growing providers of AI orchestration tools in the world. We have 11 offices around the world, including here in Singapore, and are growing very quickly to meet the needs of our global customers around the world. I saw a lot of you taking pictures. If you'd like to get a copy of the slides, you can find them through this QR code. Or we'll also be doing demonstrations at our booth. You're welcome to come get a copy of the slides and see a little bit about the product. We're just outside the hall here, and you can find our booth there. I thank you for the time. It's been a pleasure to address you, and I hope to speak more today.